Everyone, welcome to the live. I'm going to start this live today, and I am talking about a very important topic that is so essential to all of us, and it is the difference between self-love and selfishness. You know, people ask me all the time that if I do A, B, and C, that I'm going to be selfish. And, I'm one of the greatest things that I teach is about having self-love. So it comes up all the time and people say, well, you know what? I know such and such person and they are just so full of themselves. I just don't want to be like that. And many times they're thinking of people that are narcissistic, and they're so afraid of being that person that they try to stay away from it. So the first thing I want to tell you about is that what I feel is selfish, and what I teach people is selfish, that it is selfish for you to not know who you are, to not know what you want, when you want it, how you want it, to not develop yourself enough to be able to provide to yourself what you want, and then to show up and then expect other people to know all of that stuff, what you want, when you want it, how you want it, for how long you want it, and then get very upset when they don't give it to you. That is more selfish than knowing what you want and going for it and making sure that you provide yourself that. It also leads to a great many misunderstandings. If you do have an expectation, like I said in my last live, you have to make it into an agreement. But it is very selfish to not take care of yourself, because no one in this world knows what you need except for yourself. Hi, Saba. How are you? Nice to see you here. And okay, so yeah. So so it is very important for us to know that. It is every adult's responsibility to know what they like, what they want, and to make sure that they themselves work hard to get that. The other thing that I want to talk about is the concept and the idea of hi Esma, thank you for joining, the idea of humbleness. The idea of humbleness is one of the most misunderstood concepts. And people think that if you look at the greats, if you look at Jesus Christ, if you look at Prophet Muhammad, if you look at people who epitomize humbleness, true humbleness does not come from berating yourself, putting yourself down. It comes from such a deep understanding, deep knowing, a deep residing into the power of who you are, what God has given you, the soul that God has given you, being so complete and fulfilled by who you are. You can't be fulfilled by who you are until you take the time to know who you are, until you take the time to appreciate what God has given you and love it and just be thankful for it. So true humbleness comes from so deeply knowing the rewards and the graces and the blessings that you have, that you never have to prove it to anyone. You never have to put another person down to feel good. You never feel intimidated by another person. You can actually be happy for them. That's where true humbleness comes from. It comes from a very, very secure place. However, we walk around with millions and millions of blessings, and we never take the time to appreciate, to look in the mirror and say, God, thank you. Thank you for giving me a good face. Thank you for giving me beautiful eyes that can actually see also. Wow. Thank you for giving me this. Thank you for it is so important for us. Hi, Shaheen. Thank you for joining. It is so important for us to shamelessly, say that, oh my God, this is a blessing that God has given me. It is mine to reside in the beauty of what you have been given. When you say thank you to God, and you haven't really allowed yourself to feel how amazing this gift is that God has given you. Your graciousness or your gratitude may have some fear in it that, oh my God, if I don't say thank you to God, he's going to take it away from me. It's not even a complete, because it's not coming from a place of security and true appreciation. True appreciation and true thanks to your Lord comes from completely owning that, yes, you do have this blessing. And then completely feeling it. Like, wow, I'm so happy that I have this. Then, and feeling, and then you say thank you. And that'll be a complete thank you. And when you see people who are being narcissistic, so I want to tell you that the difference between self-love and narcissism is that of literally opposites. So if self-love had an opposite, it would be narcissism. It is not, what I'm trying to do for the people that are coming in is that I'm trying to differentiate what is the difference between self-love and selfishness, or narcissism, which people are afraid of, and they don't go into selfishness, into self-honoring or self-love because of it. And so if a narcissist person walks into the room, that person cannot feel good about themselves until they have told every person in the room that they're better than them. Anybody can come up, any child, any person who should be inconsequential can come up and rock them, shake them up, because their sense of themselves is that small and it's that shakeable. That's what narcissism is. And narcissism is a full-time job. You might think this narcissistic person is having such a great time. Not really. That narcissist person is in constant agony because they can never enjoy anything that they have. Self-love comes from the exact opposite place that narcissism comes from. Narcissism comes from scarcity, from competition, from this place of unworthiness. Yes, narcissism comes from unworthiness and always having to work to prove their worthiness. Whereas self-love comes from the stability that a person has within themselves, a complete understanding, a complete sort of comfort in who they are, and a complete acceptance of, yes, the beautiful parts of themselves, but also the not so beautiful and very, very human and defected parts of us. That is what self-love is. Self-love is the honoring, the reverence, the loving of, yes, the divine, beautiful parts of us. But it is of loving and honoring and respecting and accepting and embracing the human parts of us that keep making mistakes, despite saying that they won't, that sometimes disappoint. Really, we are very good at loving our divine parts. So really what our task is to love the humanness in us. And that, the complete acceptance of both parts is what self-love is. Self-love is not the same thing as self-care. Could self-care be a part of self-love? Yes. Getting your nails done, getting your hair done, putting on a nice outfit. Sure. But self-love is very different from self-care. A lot of people who do a very high level of self-care don't necessarily have self-love. But it is very possible to have a high level of self-care and do self-love, and the difference can only come by the intention or the concept of when you are going to do that self-care. What are you doing it for? Are you doing it because it gives you joy? Are you doing it because that is what your value system is? Are you doing it because this is what you love, that it makes you feel good? Or are you doing it because she does it, because I'm not going to look like this, because he likes it, something like that, If that any action that you take is being done out of guilt, out of responsibility, out of role playing, out of transaction, if it's being done so that, the transaction would be that if I do this, then I'll get that, then it is not from self-love. The best way to recognize that you're operating from the right place, which is your authentic self, when you are delving into self-love or any of these things, is to almost take a temperature of the inside, almost tune in and see, are you doing it from a calm, secure, tethered, grounded place? Is there this wonderful wholeness from the place that you're doing it from? Or is it coming from a place of anxiety, from scarcity, from, oh my God, I'm not enough and I have to do all these things to be enough? So the more you reside, and of course we're human, so we go back and forth all the time, but the idea is to more and more reside into this place that already exists inside all of us, of the calm, this authentic self that we call in psychology and in spirituality that we call soul. So that's what I have for you about self-love and selfishness. And I guess the only other thing that I want to say about being selfish is that, that really happens in relationships. Like people are like, oh, I can't be selfish. I have to do this and that for my kids and this and that. But if you're doing something for your kids, something for your husband, something for your friends, out of any of those places, which I told you are the 4 manipulators, which are guilt, responsibility, role playing, like playing a role of a friend or a mother or something like that, or transaction. If you're doing it from any of these places, then you are not really truly doing it out of your heart. And it will be a transaction. You will get pissed when they don't give it back to you. You are going to be looking to see, are you doing it now? I did this. Are you doing that? That kind of a thing. And it is not going to, that work, that task that you'll do, it will not make you grow and evolve. So my request from everyone is that if you don't like the word selfish, then use the word self-honoring. But with every single move of what you do, what you don't do, how you think, how you don't think, how you speak, bring self-honoring to yourself. Hi, Rusa. So if you love your family, if you love your kids, then take care of yourself first. Only because when you take care of yourself first, that is the honest place from which you can love others. When we speak about the word relationships, hi Kanan, thanks for joining. When you speak of the word relationships, it is relating to someone. You cannot relate to another person if you don't have a platform from which to relate to. If you don't know yourself, if you don't know who you are, what you want, what you need, if you don't think that you're important enough to work to get everything that you want for yourself, then anything that you are calling a relationship is not really a relationship. It can be an entanglement. It could be a transaction. It could be an arrangement, but it cannot be a relationship. For a relationship to be called a relationship, hi Mawish, Shinky. For a relationship to be called a relationship, you have to first have a platform where you first know yourself. Only from that, where you first know yourself, you know yourself enough that you love yourself, you love the good parts, you love the bad parts of yourself. Only then can you actually have a relationship and not any of these other things. So that's what I have for you today, the difference between self-love and if you don't want to call self-love, you can call self-honoring and selfishness. If you have any questions for me, please ask me. When we don't know the difference between self-love and selfishness, we often fall prey to over-responsibility. And over-responsibility puts us in places where we can get terribly, terribly hurt later. We come into places where we just don't understand why we are doing so much for people and giving them our heart and soul, and why they're not giving it back. Because you were never supposed to do it to get something back. Only do things from the core of your heart and not from the four manipulators, which I'll say again are guilt, responsibility, role-playing, and transaction. Don't do that. That is a very bad place to do something for. For example, my sister-in-law who's here right now, if she says to me, hey, I want to go out to lunch with you because I feel so responsible, or I feel so guilty, or I feel, like I'm your sister-in-law, so I should be doing that role-playing. Or transaction, I want to go to lunch with me so that you can like me, or you can take me out to lunch. If she says any of those things, I'm going to be like, thank you. No, actually, I'd rather not. Because all of us want to be loved by people because they want to love us, not out of responsibility, guilt, role-playing, and transaction. So treat yourself. Treat other people the way you want to treat you want to be treated. So if you don't like it, I wouldn't want anybody to love me from those places. Don't love other people from those places. So that you're never in a deficit. You're never hurting. You're never saying, why didn't she do this for me? Because it doesn't matter to me if you do this for me or not, because I never did it for you anyway. I did it for myself. I did it because it made me so happy to do this for you. And it's not always the case. Learn to say no. Learn to say no. It is the kindest thing you can do to people. You can use your manners. You can use your values to say no, but learn to say no to people so that you can have authentic relationships. You can say it lovingly. You can even say, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I'm so scared of saying no to you because I love you so much. But I've got to be true to myself. I've got to say no. When you say yes, when in fact what you want to do is that you want to say no, what you're doing is that you're saying no to yourself. You say no to yourself enough times, you lose your relationship with yourself. You cannot trust yourself anymore. And now, to get the feeling of trust and this feeling of safety that comes from trust, you now have to go to other people and posture in all kinds of ways so that you can feel the trust and the safety. Whereas safety and trust was never supposed to come from anyone else but you. So I hope this helps. I love your questions. You can email me. My email is sanya@sanyabari.com. You can leave comments here. I'm going to leave the recording. I love to connect with people. So feel free to reach out. I hope this helped. And I'm going to now see you on the first Wednesday of next month on my Instagram, which is sanyabari.lpc. Take care and love and light from my heart to yours. See you soon.